Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the History of Video Games. My name is Wes, and I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful Ben. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing great. How are you, Wes?
I am doing really good. I'm excited. We've got a little bit of a different episode for you guys today. Doing a short little mini cast. Something we do every year, though, or at least the past couple years, where we kind of talk about our Steam year in review, which is, they kind of give you everything that you played over the year, give you some fun statistics, and talk through that, and then pick our favorite game that we played this year. So it's going to be a good episode for sure. But we wanted to start things off before that with our usual just check in to see what we've been playing recently. So you want to get us started, Ben? What do you got to talk about in the backlog of games?
I know. Well, I have to talk about one because we're talking about our favorite games this year. And there's a couple actually really great games in my backlog that I haven't talked to everybody about.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I had to quickly mention, I'll do a full special mention on this in a different episode. But one game that I really liked a lot, it was called, it's called Earth X. It's like a strategy game. I played that game a lot, but I'll talk about that at a different time. There's a different game that I liked even better that I have to talk about from my backlog since we're doing our favorite games this year, because I really like this one a lot. And it's a small little indie game that I wasn't really expecting anything of and couldn't stop playing it. So nice. Pretty good. The game's called Yoku's Island Express.
Okay.
I guarantee you haven't heard of that, Wes. I've never heard of that or even seen it. It's got a very cutesy art style, though, if you want to look it up. But the premise of this game is you kind of play like as a little like ladybug or something, but you're like tied to a spherical boulder. And you can push the boulder, so you can kind of push the boulder up like not so steep hills, to kind of go over a little hump or something. But if you like go down a steep hill, the boulder's falling and your character's kind of just along for the ride at that point, so you can't really like control it. It's kind of played from like a side view perspective, like a 2D perspective. And when the boulder's falling, you can't really control anything about it. And that's kind of where the real gameplay mechanics are, because the game actually plays a lot like pinball, like old pinball machines. If you think about like a boulder that's falling down hills or, down via gravity, that's like a pinball. And your character who's attached along for the ride, he's not really able to control it in these pinball table sections, but it plays like a bunch of pinball tables, and you're trying to collect different things on the pinball table, shoot your ball into different little passageways and stuff. And how on physical pinball tables, like maybe after you do something, a certain new path will open, right? And maybe you go there and you get some extra bonus points or something. Well, in this game, after you do something in the pinball table, a new path opens, but it doesn't just loop you back on the same table. It goes to a new table, and then that one will go to a new table, and then that one will go to. So it's basically an open world of pinball tables. And what the level design is like phenomenal, because like let's say you do 2 or 3 in a row, a shortcut will open to quickly allow you to go back to the first one or to skip a couple. Maybe there'll be multiple different directions you can go, like different tables off of one, which is cool. And then each of those branch into different ways. There's like a bit of it's not like a fast travel system per se, but there's like cannons around that can kind of shoot your ball into a different table of a different part of the world. And the level design is just really, really good. It has moments where you're not in a table and you can just push the boulder around in flat sections. And that's where you'll get like some story beats or like get a quest or something. Open up a little treasure chest. I don't know. I just really loved it. The level design was cool. The pinball mechanics felt really nice. And it just felt like an open world pinball game that I never had really thought about, but somehow meshed together like perfectly, like that concept was just really well done. And they had a lot of really nice like hidden secrets, even some Metroidvania aspects where you would have to come back after doing something later, which was great.
Oh, okay, nice.
And it's a small game. It took me about 8 hours to beat it, and I decided to 100% the game. So it took me about 8 hours to 100% it. So I think I probably beat it in 6 hours or so. So it is short, but I felt like pretty much by the end of that 8 hours, I was like ready to move on to something else, and that's when it ended. So it felt to me like it was the perfect length. Very chill game, really hard to like die or lose a lot of progress on. Very soothing, like cool, like beach tiki vibe music, which I liked a lot.
Nice.
And just really cute art style, great mechanics. So I think it was really good. Like I really
Very
liked
cool.
it. One of my favorite things I played this year, even though it was so short. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, sometimes a short game, you know, like you said, it's just the perfect length. It does what it needs to do, doesn't overstay its welcome, and then you're like left with a good feeling after it.
Exactly.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's definitely one to check out. I'm sure it goes on sale for like 50 cents or something, you know?
Right.
I guarantee it. So definitely one to have on your radar. It's definitely something I wouldn't have bought if it wasn't in a Humble Bundle. Like if I had just seen the store page, I'd be like, nah. But when you play it, you're like, oh, I'm glad I'm playing this, you know? It's just really well done.
Awesome. Okay. One to check out for sure.
Yeah, but what have you been up to, Wes? Anything brand new or?
Yes. Yeah. I want to talk about something brand new, actually, something I got for Christmas.
Okay.
And something that was totally unexpected. So my dad likes to get us, me and my brother, which mind you, we're both 30-year-old adults, but he still likes to get us like a fun electronic toy basically every Christmas. And this year he kind of went big and he got us a Meta Quest 3S VR headset, which I didn't know anything about because I haven't immersed myself in the world of VR at all. But kind of one of the defining features of the Meta Quest headsets, I guess, is that you don't need a gaming PC to run games on it. It literally has everything it needs to run video games in the headset. And it is a surprisingly powerful piece of hardware. Like one of the first games I bought for it is they made a new Metro title for VR specifically called Metro Awakening. And I mean, it's, you know, not crazy good graphics, but it's surprisingly good. But I quickly found out that true full VR games make me very nauseous. Because there might be a way that you can get around this, and I haven't discovered it yet, but it is a VR headset that controls with 2 handheld controllers. And your movement is like you can walk and your character moves, but I kind of have a tight space. So it's not like I could keep walking and walking. So I have to move with a joystick, and that just messes with my head so bad because you're moving, but you're not moving, and it looks like you're moving. I will say about that Metro Awakening game, though, that, you know, being post-apocalyptic Russia, one of the first things you do is you sit down by a campfire, and these guys that tell you to have a drink with them, and you like pick up a bottle of presumably mushroom vodka or something. And as soon as you tilt the bottle back, it plays like a glug noise. It was super good.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've been enjoying about it the most is what is called mixed reality games. This headset has this, and maybe other headsets too. Like I said, I know nothing about VR basically, but this headset has cameras on the front of it so that when you turn on what's called like pass through, it just shows you through cameras what's in front of you. So it's kind of wild. And then it can at the same time display on the screen in front of your eyes different things. Like one of the free games that comes with it is like these little furry aliens start breaking through the walls of whatever room you're in, and you have to shoot them with like laser guns to capture them.
Nice.
And it does like, you know, a little scary Big Brother kind of thing, but it scans the whole room and it can tell where the walls are. It can tell where the ceiling is, and it looks like stuff is coming out of your actual ceiling. So that's been a lot of fun.
Sounds like a recipe for nightmares.
Yes, yeah. Thankfully, it was the cutesy alien game that I was playing first, you know. But I did buy one other mixed reality game that I really enjoyed, which is called Ocean Rift. And I still have a lot to explore in this game, but it's just an underwater exploration game. But in the mixed reality one, it scans your room and you can just make windows, like aquarium windows on your walls, and just watch digital sea life swim by. So it's basically just like hanging out in Subnautica, which, yeah, it's a whole world that I've never been into because I knew VR would make me sick. But mixed reality, thankfully, does not. And it seems like there's a lot of cool stuff there, too. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Nice. Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
I definitely need some updates because I feel like the first thing I would do is watch a movie in VR. I'm sure you could do that, right?
You probably can.
Wouldn't it just feel like you're in a really like an IMAX, you know?
Probably. I don't know if the movie needs to have like certain,
true.
You know, a certain type of movie like IMAX where it's like it needs to be, I don't know if rendered is the right word, but prepared in a certain way to, but I don't know. Meta is Facebook. So I feel like they've done some crazy stuff like that, I'm sure.
I believe the MetaQuest is like the most popular one right now. I know the new Batman game, which just won the award for Best VR Game of the Year, was MetaQuest exclusive.
Yes, so. And actually comes with the MetaQuest 3S. So that's one I actually haven't played yet. It is full VR, so we'll see how long I can play it before I have to take a break. But I'm going to try sitting down and playing it, and I'll update you and let you know how it goes.
All right, cool. All right, well, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
But I think we're ready, Wes, to get into our Steam year in review.
Yes, yeah.
Right at the beginning, it lists some stats. I'm curious to know how my stats might differ from yours. How many games you played this past year, Wes?
So this year, I mean, I'm sure less than you, because you're going through your Humble Bundle checklist. I have 29 games played.
That's still quite a lot.
Yeah.
I have 36 games played.
Okay.
I will say, though, before we even go any further, I played a fair amount of games in the Unity launcher this year. A lot of Splinter Cells and Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, which obviously is not going to be on Steam. So just keep that in mind. But that's still a pretty good amount of games, though, Wes. I can't even think of what those 29 would be.
I can't remember either, to tell you the truth. I know at least one of them was a game that I bought once it hit early access and it uninstalled a month later, but most of them were pretty good games.
Okay, good. All right, what about achievements, Wes? Who has the most achievements unlocked this year?
This is pretty funny. I think you'll probably have more than me, but I have 241 achievements, and more than half of them are from one game, which I'll talk about later.
Okay. I have 523 achievements.
Holy cow, man.
I know. I don't know how I got those, but I did.
Yeah.
I have 55 rare achievements. I don't know. Do you have a stat for that?
19. So about 19. On track for the amount of achievements I have.
Yeah. All right. What about keyboard versus controller? I played 72% of the time with the keyboard and only 28% of the time with the controller.
Pretty similar, but I got 35% with the controller, 65% with keyboard and mouse.
Do you play on controller a little bit more?
A couple of my top played games this year are controller heavy, so I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Okay, this one's pretty funny to me. There's a part in the Steam year in review where it says like if you played games released this year or like old classic games or kind of games released in the past 1 to 7 years. I'll have to tell you right now, the percentage of time for new releases, games released in 2024 for me, 0%.
That tracks when you're going through your Humble Bundle. Yeah. Waiting for games to go on stale. It's just you're a smart consumer, Ben. Me, I get hyped pretty easily. Yeah. So I have 23% of mine is new releases, actually, just from this year.
Well, so then I had to wonder how much of what's left is classic games. For me, 57% were recent favorites and 43% were classic games, which I have a feeling is maybe higher than you. I don't know.
Yeah. Mine is really low this year. Classic games on Steam, only 12%. And that's probably all the old Stalker games, honestly. Like I'm trying to think. Well, and you know what? That's a little bit of a misleading thing because I also played all of the Halo games on the Halo Master Chief Collection, but that probably counts as a new game, or a recent game. So a little weird. I did play some classic games, but not as many as you.
Yeah, I don't even know which ones I played that were considered classic. But. All right, and then it also kind of has some genres that it thinks that we like, right? So for me, the genres that it has 6 of them. And for me this year, it was tower defense, which can't think of a tower defense I played this year. I'm sure I did, but pinball, I'm going to guess that is from Yoku's Island Express. Music, which I think is from Rocksmith.
Rocksmith, sure.
Souls-like from Dark Souls. Open world survival craft. I don't know what that's from. I know we played some Terraria, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. And 3D platformer. what 3D platformer have I played? I don't know. Do not know. But those are my 6. What do you think, Wes? What are yours?
I think that makes sense. Yeah. And I've got some similar ones there. I have Souls-like. I have, of course, as we'll get into, I mean, this is the year that Shadow of the Erdtree, the Elden Ring DLC released.
Right.
But then also open world survival craft. So I think that's probably going to chalk that up to Terraria as well. Action roguelike. Can't remember. Probably Risk of Rain 2 again. Farming sim again. No idea. And then Space Sim, which I've still been playing a lot of Pulsar. I know I talked about the multi-crew space simulator game.
Mm-hmm. All right, nice.
Yeah.
All right, what about playtime by month, Wes? I definitely played a lot of games between like April and August, so summertime. And then in the winter, for whatever reason, it's way down.
That's interesting.
I'm not trying to do that.
I feel like that's opposite of what you would expect for a lot of people. You know, like sometimes summer months you're out doing more stuff. And then, mine pretty even, honestly, except November is gigantic. It is 18% of my playtime compared to like nothing else is above like 10%, or a couple are at 10%. November is when Stalker 2 released, and that is a lot of my game time. But yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, I mean, because of that even playtime throughout the months, that's why I have a 19-day streak on Steam. I'm just playing a lot of Steam.
Well, guess what? Mine is 24 days.
Oh.
And it's pretty recent. Saturday, November 9th to Tuesday, December 3rd.
Mine was recent as well. Yeah, it's a good time to stay inside and play some games.
I think it was just a lot of Rocksmith, I think, helped.
Yeah.
All right. I think, are we ready to reveal our top games of the year, Wes?
Oh, yeah, I think so. So why don't you reveal all 3 years, and then I'll say all 3 of my top 3 played.
Well, I don't really know if I have a top 3, to be honest. I'll definitely tell you my favorite one, though, I think.
Yeah.
But the ones that were definitely in the running for me, Expeditions Vikings. I played it early on in the year. I quite liked it. I think it would have been maybe my game of the year had it had like voice acting. But it was one of those games that was very ambitious in scope, made by a smaller team. And I think they nailed the gameplay, but you know, they couldn't afford great graphics or voice acting and just things that would have really brought it to the next level. But it was a really good one. Yeah. Another one that I really remember and have fond memories of is Kingdom 2 Crowns. This was a side scroller kind of tower defense type game where you controlled somebody that couldn't really do anything. Like you couldn't fight yourself. You could only issue orders and like build things on the map, which was cool. And it just had a absolutely stunning art design. Just drop dead gorgeous. A very one of those games that has very minimalist UI. So it's basically like a screensaver at all times. Gotta love it. So nice. I really like that one. Obviously, Yoku's Island Express, which I mentioned earlier. War Groove, which I covered on the podcast not too long ago, was really good. I also played Yakuza Kiwami 2 this year, which was actually my most played game outside of Rocksmith. That was a really good one. I liked it better than the first one, although I think the combat went backwards in some ways. I also played Rise Son of Rome, which was like a AAA game that released many years ago, but I think still holds up pretty well. A little short, to be fair, in its playtime, but pretty good though. And then, you know what? One other game, Wes, that I haven't talked about yet, so this is a bit of a sneak preview for the upcoming weeks when we do our normal episodes.
Yeah.
I played the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
Oh, nice.
Really loved it.
Yeah.
That was one where they kind of redid it on new hardware, and it still is retro, but it kind of looks the way you think Spyro looks, you know?
Yeah.
Like they just did a really good job kind of bringing it to life. So really liked it. But my game of the year, Wes, I'm going to give it to one that I played earlier on in the year, and I remember kind of raving about it at the time. And, you know, I think in a different year, like last year, I had played Dark Souls and Inmost and all these great games.
Yeah.
It was a really stacked year. This year, not so much. So I don't think it's quite at like a 10 out of 10 level, but it was still the best one I played this year. And that was Quantum Break.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which I played early in this year. It's a third-person shooting game, but the visuals on it were crazy. I was engrossed in the story. I love the story. There were like actual AAA level actors, like real actors in the game. That was fun to play a game with that talent. The voice acting was just incredible, really well done with the writing, and I loved it from start to finish. It is a little short maybe, and there were some gameplay mechanics that I had problems with. I remember some very tanky enemies and stuff like that, but overall, really, really cool. I loved it a lot. So that's definitely my favorite game of this year.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I almost forgot you had played that this year, but yeah, it's still one on my ever-growing list of games that I want to play as well.
But what about you now, Wes? You got Stalker 2, you got Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty heavy year for you.
It is, for sure. And I forgot about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, but I mean, I think if I'm going just off sheer playtime and just how good the experience was, it's got to be Shadow of the Erdtree. But I feel like I got to play by the rules where, like, you know, everyone was getting upset that Shadow of the Erdtree was in the Game Awards as a new release, as a full game, although it, to be honest, basically was the size of a full game. So I'm gonna pick.
I will say, I mean, I replayed Dark Souls this year, and I decided not to include it.
Yeah,
I could have easily said it was my favorite game of the year because I did enjoy it a lot, but decided not to mention it.
They're good games, so I don't think I'm gonna pick that as my outright favorite. I mean,
okay,
I had some other things. There was Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not gonna pick again.
Oh
but
yeah,
I think that came out last year. I can't even remember now. I think I started playing it last year, but I've still been playing it so much. There was only 2 months of the year where I didn't play it. I played it every other month of the year. And I mean, I play it with my girlfriend for pretty regular sessions. So, I mean, that's part of it. But like, yeah, I was struggling to pick it. But I think I got to go for Stalker 2. I mean, it's very, very far from perfect. But I am still absolutely loving it. And of course, it's a series that is just really special to me anyway. In my played games for the year, you know, it was Call of Pripyat because I played through that again. And then I finally got to play Clear Sky. And then despite only coming out in November, Stalker 2 has quickly raised up in playtime to be number 4 on my list of like most played games this year. And I'm sure it's going to surpass number 3 soon. But yeah, it's just such a solid game, even though or such solid game's not the right word because it's still got a lot of bugs, but it's just such a great continuation of the series. And I've been doing lots of side stuff, but I think I'm like 80 hours in and I'm not done the main story yet, which good or bad, depending on how you look at it, but there's tons of content here. Yeah. And I think if PoE 2 had hit early access a little earlier in the year, that might be a contender as well, but I haven't got a chance to play it as much as I would like. But man, I'm excited for when that hits full release. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Stalker 2, good game. Oh yeah. Quantum Break, also good game. I know we're blowing everybody's minds. Right. Yeah, really saying some controversial stuff here, but but that's great. I mean, always fun to take a look at the Steam review, even though, as you mentioned, it's not every game we played this year. It's pretty comprehensive. Yeah. And fun to look at those statistics. I got to figure out what farming sims I was playing. True. All right, but that will do it for us for this week. Next week, we will be back with a normal episode, so stay tuned. And until next time, we'll see you later. See y'all next time.